Analysts expecting both profit and revenue at the home renovation giant to have dropped during the quarter. Walmart and Target join the clutch of big box retailers to report next week. All three are moving higher right now. So here's the question. Will retail roll or rev the markets? And where is tech in all of this? To our floor show traders, Teddy Weisberg and Keith Fitz-Gerald. Teddy, sure, the past 4 days look like Wall Street's pretty sleepy, but month to date volatility, or the VIX index, actually has spiked about 14%. Do you see August as sort of doldrums or dead serious for investors?
Well, I think to begin, it looks like the markets simply, Liz, have kind of just run out of steam into a wall, if you will. Primarily in the tech sector, those are the high-profile babies that have carried the heavy water for months now for the stock market, while the greater lists, to one degree or another, have lagged behind. But the techs clearly have gotten tired, rolled over. You've got some pretty high-profile stocks like Microsoft and Apple, Tesla breaking down below their 50-day moving average. It's probably okay. They've had big moves. They're entitled to rest a little bit, but you get 2 or 3 bad days or a week of negative action in a high-profile group, and everybody starts running to the exits. I'm not quite sure we're there yet. The bottom line is, there is some strength in the energy stocks today, and I see some movement into the big pharma stock, which is more or less defensive. But the market's had a pretty decent move. The broad market's had a pretty decent move. They're due for a rest. We're working our way through earnings period. Yeah. The earnings on balance have been better than expected. So the real key now for the markets is, what is it going to do for an encore? What's going to be the catalyst to get it from where we are to another level? And hopefully that level is higher, not lower. And I'm not sure what that catalyst is at the moment.
Keith, let's just say that the Dow Jones Industrials are to the upside at the moment of 118 points. But where do you see the markets tipping? More to the vulnerable side or to the strength side? Because if you look at the S&P, that level of about, I want to say 4,500, longer term, every time it's dropped to 4,500, the buyers have come in. But we dropped to 4,500 today, and now we are below it, I believe, right around 4,466 at the moment. And that's kind of been that hold level. So are you concerned at all? Or, as Teddy says, are we just overdue for a little bit of a pullback?
I am absolutely with Teddy on this one. I think we're overdue for some calm. People think that the markets go up all the time, but the reality of the situation is we need buying and selling to build strength for another move higher. The path of least resistance, Liz, is still higher as long as companies continue to put up great numbers. This is a short-term, technically driven pullback that's selling based on nothing more than higher yields and what the Fed might do. I'd rather focus on what great companies will do.
Well, then, when great companies are not as expensive because we don't know what they will do that, we're at that point maybe for some of these names, Keith. What do you see as fitting into that measure?
Well, for example, and you're absolutely spot on, the name of the game is to buy low and sell high, and great companies never go out of style. Right now, for example, I'm looking to pick up more Pfizer. People are beating that company into oblivion. They think it's going to be going out of existence, but it's got a great pipeline. It's got 20-30% operating margins. It's got a hefty dividend that's paid consecutively, and it's got 19 plus drugs in the pipeline for oncology and other high-risk diseases. So, this is a company that's been around a long time. It's a world-class player. People may fight about it all day long, but it's not going anywhere. That's the kind of stock that at moments like this looks very appealing. Yeah,
if you look year to date, it's down about 30%, Teddy. Anything starting to look attractive to you? Do you feel that evaluation in many of these names, particularly technology? Because if you look at the SOX index that's jam-packed with all the semiconductor names and the semiconductor equipment names, it's down, and that makes sense because there's been such a run-up in everything from AMD to Applied Materials to KLAC and, of course, NVIDIA. Do you think that now that they've come off those highs, it's time to get in?
Well, I think the pullback in the tech sector, I would agree with Keith, is technical. And I sure would agree with him about Pfizer. And all I would say about Pfizer and Keith's position on it is from his mouth to God's ears. Pfizer has been the most disappointing of all the big pharmaceuticals. It sort of defies description how poorly that stock acts for as good a company as it is. But I would agree, it's not only Pfizer in the big pharma sector, it's also Merck and it's also Bristol Myers. But I think right now, Liz, it's really tough. You got to be careful here. I think the energy stocks act pretty good, and there's a lot of names there that are relatively cheap, pay big dividends. And as I said at the outset, the defensive play would be big pharmaceutical, and clearly Pfizer would fall smack dab in the middle of that category.
Yeah, but you've liked as a defensive play treasuries, Teddy. Keith, have you dipped your foot in at all to even the shorter term treasury T-bills?
Well, I have a little bit here and there, but really, I'm more focused on the opportunity that upside presents. A lot of people went to the sidelines, for example, coming into last October. You and I had a discussion on your show about what a mistake that would be. It feels safe, but you're going to get left behind when the market's pulled out. I think we're facing a similar situation now. You want to be cautious, but you want to stick to the high quality names. If you want to go into tech, Apple, Microsoft, even Palantir, which is being pulled back today. Buy low, sell high, go forward, stick to quality, best not rest. These are all messages that people need to take a deep breath and breathe in, because this is going to pass.
You might be happy to note, Keith, that Palantir just turned positive just by about 0.5%. It's
Excellent.
Very volatile. Hey, great to have you both. Happy Friday. Keith Fitz-Gerald, Teddy Weisberg, as always. We love you guys. Thank you so much.
Hi, it's Keith here. Thanks for checking out today's highlight clip. What'd you think? Did I make sense? Is there something you'd like to add? Make sure you leave a comment down below, and of course, click subscribe to keep up right here on YouTube, or sign up for the email newsletter at the link below. You can also find me on Twitter and Instagram for my real-time thoughts on markets, analysis, and a whole lot more.